Hey, before we get started here, I want you to listen to something, just maybe 30, 40, maybe 50 seconds of it. I just want you to hear something right off the bat.
By the door, my key on the ground. I was halfway to the car, saw you weren't around. Emptiness, I felt scared of what's in store. I didn't know I needed you till you walked out the door. The road spinning fast, gotta stop it somehow. Seems like I'm losing control. Sweat on my brow, I finally faced the fact. You showed me now. I realize
Now, how did I get this ideal club sound from a band in a box song? Today, I'm going to show you my entire music production workflow. I start in Band in a Box. I import stems into my DAW. I add my vocals. I mix and I produce a song in Band in a Box. And then I hand it over to SUNO to reinterpret it. And then I bring those SUNO stems back into my DAW and create an entirely new production with that feel that I was looking for. But before we begin, I'm gonna tell you guys something. This is not a tutorial here, though I do show some of the settings, but this is what I call a modern workflow that takes a Band in a Box song and turns SUNO into the virtual music producer like I used to have back in the 70s and in the 80s. And honestly, it's one of the most exciting things that I've discovered as an independent musician. Let me explain. Those of us who grew up making music in the 70s and 80s understand something that younger musicians may never have experienced. Back then, music producers were an essential part of making records. They weren't engineers, they weren't button pushers, they were creative partners. And I had the opportunity to work in studios with producers who would listen to our songs and immediately hear possibilities that us as musicians, band members and singers, we never thought of ourselves. They'd say like, hey, let's put some strings there, or take the bass out in that section. Let's build some tension before the chords and the chorus. Let's add some harmonies, double that guitar, change that groove. And many times they added elements that totally transformed the song. They weren't replacing us. They were expanding our creativity because that's what great producers do. They hear possibilities, and that's exactly how I use SUNO. I don't use SUNO to replace my songwriting. It's not a prompt machine for me. I don't use SUNO to replace my musicianship. I use it to add to it, but not take away. I use SUNO as my virtual music producer. It's another creative voice sitting in the studio with me. Sometimes I like its ideas, and sometimes I don't, But that's exactly how it worked with human producers too. Not every idea made the final record, but the collaboration often elevated the song. And technology has allowed someone like me to recreate something that I had many years ago. The experience of having another creative partner in that room. Now, let me show you exactly how I do it. So everything starts right here in Band in a Box. And I've been using it for years because it's still one of the fastest songwriting tools available. I can quickly experiment with chord progressions and song structure and styles and tempo changes, instrument combinations. Now, my goal is not to create the final song at this point. My goal is to create the blueprint. So here's a short snippet of the original song I played, composed in Band in a Box. And it's close, but it's still a little bit different. Band-in-a-Box is my songwriting partner. That's kind of how I think of it. And once I have something that I like, I export all the stems. And as you can see over here, I got a ton of bass synths, 2 or 3 synths, drums, loops, got all kind of crazy stuff, right? I got a bunch of it. So what I do though is I just go to the audio tab in Band-in-a-Box, which is here, and I type export as an audio file, and I actually select just normalize and and just take and export all of the stems into a folder on my desktop, and that way I can import them in the next phase and get them ready for production. So that's the Band-in-a-Box component, all in a nutshell right there. Now, so this is where the song begins to come alive a little bit, right? I import every Band-in-a-Box stem into my DAW, so I've got complete control. And this is where I start adding my own personality. And you look over here, you can see all of my Band-in-a-Box stems, bass 1, bass 2, drums, guitar, the whole 9 yards, right? And I can replace those sounds if I want to, right? I can layer synths, I can create transitions, I can add effects, I can build the energy throughout the song. And see, the Band-in-a-Box gave me the skeleton, but now the DAW gives me complete creative control over the music. And this is kind of where my identity begins to kind of shape the song, right? So again, if you notice, I've got all my faders here. If you notice, some are up, some are down, where I've taken and changed the overall volume of certain instruments, right? I do that. I'm like this pluck bass, for example. I didn't like the pluck bass, so I kind of took it out completely once I put it into the DAW because I didn't like it, right? And I also do a lot of bussing. I bust my stuff over here, so I bust stuff to music. I bust stuff to drums, and the reason why I do that, of course, is I try to group like instruments together so that I don't have to have so many faders that I need to control because this is a lot of tracks. So that's what I do in my DAW, my first pass with my Band-in-a-Box song. It's very important, my Band-in-a-Box song. And this is what it sounds like now. It's starting to take a little bit better shape. I've got kick drums kind of thumping a little bit more. Still not loving them for me. I like the guitar part. That's kind of what the song sounds like now in my DAW, where I've changed the volume of certain instruments, brought some up, carried some down, changed a few things, right? So now that's where I'm at. Musically, that's where I'm at with the song at this point right now. So now that I've done a pre-mix of the music, it was time to put the vocals down. So I recorded my lead vocals, harmony vocals, some background vocals, ad-libs, and I began, mixing those, right? And of course, my lead vocals, I've got EQ, compression, reverb, delay, what else? Auto-tune. I'm an auto-tune guy. That's right. I've got auto-tune on here. Look at my lead vocal, right? I'm using this Lander FX voice module. I'll bring over here, and you can see you can tune it for delay. You can tune it for compression, saturation, FX, vocals. I have the whole thing. EQ, I've got the whole thing set up right. And I also got a compressor on here, right? I use this Sonitis compressor, right? I set that up for some compression so that I have to, it helps with the volume swings. I'll put it like that, right? So, and of course I have my trusty auto tune. I'm a big auto tune guy. That's right. I love it, and got my auto tune set here. And again, it's only set, this one's a little bit high, actually. I've got this one a little bit higher than some of the others, right? But again, here's the deal. I don't care how people feel about auto tune. I don't care at all, because one thing I do know is that nobody wants to hear a bunch of flat notes. And auto tune, it's a great assist, if set correctly. It doesn't change every note. It just helps with pitch. And of course, yeah, you can tune it to get that T-Max, T-Pain sound if you want to do that, right? It's not what I'm looking for, of course, But for a lot of people, it's just a helper. And it's not really active all the time. It's so misunderstood by a lot of amateur musicians because everybody thinks Shure and T-Pain, and that is not the case. But my goal is to use everything needed to make the song sound as professional as I can make it. But at the same time, I know that it's going to change slightly once I load it into SUNO. It's going to change a little bit, and I understand that. But I just have to make it sound as good as I can, fully engineered. So I know at this point, a lot of people would just stop, right? But for me, I'm just getting started. And if I play it now with some vocals, and I just started right here from the vocal line. I've doubled the lead. Take this off. And I've got some background vocals coming up now. That's a little track 18, but I can solo that. So the background vocals. So again, my goal was to get it, get it as cool as I can get it before I actually hand it over to Suno and let Suno do its thing. So that's what I do before I import it over into Suno. Oh, another thing I also do is I'll take this and save this. I'll just save it as a WAV file, not an MP3. I save it as a WAV file. I'll upload it into Lander because I use Lander for mastering. I'll get it mastered because then it'll sound a little bit better, even better, Well, I'll put it like this. It sounds better to me, So I will upload it into Lander, get a master track back. And once I get that Lander master track back, then I will upload that track into Suno. So now I've handed the song over to Suno. I've uploaded the song. The song is right here. Got to get back to you, V5 and version 5, right? And it's the song that I've uploaded, and you can listen to it. It's the original song. Original song, just like I made it in Band in the Box. That's what it sounds like right now. Now, here's an important point. I'm not asking Suno to create a random song. I'm not typing in prompts. I'm using Suno settings to cover my song and reinterpret my song. So the original song is here, and I select cover. And when I do that, if you look on the left side of the screen, you will see all of the lyrics. You will see the styles. This is what it named for a style. They said it was an indie pop with funk and disco influences. I really wanted club, right? But disco, that's fine with me, right? But here's the most important setting. Other than the fact it's tempo and style, it's a button here that says more options. I click more options, and as I scroll down, you will see more options here, right? Now remember, it's covering my Band in a Box song. So for vocal gender, I want male. For weirdness, I don't want any weirdness, so I'm going to set that to 0%. For style influence, I want the same style, so I'm going to go 100% with that. And for audio influence, I'm going to go 100% with that because I don't want those things changed. I do all of those things before I hit create. And the reason why I do that is because if I have that set that way, then what happens is that when it recreates the song, it kind of keeps the same feel of the song. It just makes it better. Just like a producer would do decades ago. I want Suno to offer me fresh ideas and textures, fresh energy, fresh possibilities, and sometimes it actually surprises me at what it comes up with, and that's the point. Because great producers have always done that. So Suno gave me a couple of versions. They gave me a lot of versions. I did it quite a few times. So every time you hit create, it will make another 2 versions for you, right? And you can kind of pick and choose which ones you like. Well, I just kept 3 for this, for the purpose of this video. I just kept 3 versions. I've got my original and 3 other versions. So here's a quick snippet of just 2 of them. I just play 2 of them because I don't want this to be too long. But I'll play the one that's 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Which I absolutely love, because it sounds it nice and up.
I walked by the door, my face on the ground. I was halfway to the.
Now, of course, I like the guy's voice because I can sing. I don't sing that way, but I have my own style of singing too. So that was one version. Now here's the version that I actually liked, which was the version that was 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
Gotta get back to you. Gotta get back to
Can't for that part too much. But I love the way it starts with the song. And that's what you heard in the beginning of this video.
Face on the ground, I was halfway to the car, so you.
And if you notice, my sound, if you heard the one that I started with this video with, right? I don't sing that way, you know. Now, you can definitely hear the difference though, can't you? The Suno may change, some of the instrumentation, the energy, the reduction style, the techniques, the textures, of course, and even the emotion, right? It's not about right or wrong. It's about inspiration. And I get great inspiration from doing this because it's given me this club feel that I was looking for that I had trouble creating in Band in the Box. Not to say Band in the Box is good or bad. I just had trouble creating it that way. So I put it in Suno to come up with a better way of doing it. That's how I do it. And I do it with some other types of songs too, not just Suno, but I do it with other types of songs too. So now that I've imported my Suno stems, because the song that I picked, which was 3 minutes and 5 seconds, I downloaded those stems. So now I have those stems and they are over here on the right. I've imported these back into my original song. I've got my Band in the Box stems. I've got my Suno stems. And now I can actually figure out which ones I like, which ones I don't, because I'm the producer again now. Well, maybe co-producer, right? But I decide what stays, what goes, what gets layered, what gets muted, and kind of what's get deleted. And that's where creativity wins. So the full song again, I took the Suno parts that I liked and put them in here, and I kept some vocals. I added some more vocals. If you check it out now, it sounds a little bit different.
You left my cup by the door, my key on the ground. I was halfway to the car.
Notice there is no AI vocal there.
Emptiness, I felt scared of what's in store. I didn't know I needed you till you walked out the door. The road spinning fast,
my background vocals.
somehow. Seems like I'm losing control. Sweat on my brow.
And of course, I'm proud of remixing the dance to make it better.
Showed me. Now I realize what I know now. Gotta get back to you. Gotta get back to you. Didn't know
What I like is that Suno gave me the overall feel of the song that I was trying
Gotta
to
get back to
create.
you.
And I'm happy with
The
it.
whole world is wrong and I'm upside down. Your lipstick on my glass, your laughter filled the air. Keep finding traces that showed me how much you cared.
So that's it. Again, what I did was I took my Band in the Box workflow, moved it over, brought it back into Suno, took it to Suno, brought it back into my band lab, right, and created the song. That is the song that you heard from the actual beginning. And again, like I said before, using those different tools, in my opinion, is where creativity wins. So you may ask, what happened to the Suno vocals? Why do I not keep those? I keep my own vocals. And I do that because that's my fingerprint. That's who I am. That's my identity. Whether you like my voice or whether you don't, that's me. Now AI can provide incredible production ideas, but my voice is my voice. The lyrics are mine. The melody, it's still mine. The final song becomes a collaboration between human creativity, myself, and AI inspiration. Human decision making as it all flows together. I know that there are some songs out right now where that same AI lead vocal, as soon as I hear it, I know it's the same voice, right? Some of the songs, they actually sound pretty good, but still, why would I want to do that? Plus I'm a singer more than anything else, But again, putting all this together, in my opinion, that's the sweet spot. That's the best of both worlds, where I can use that AI to give me inspiration to help in the creation process and use myself, as the filter to make those decisions. That's what I think is the best of both worlds. So, in the end, right, people ask me all the time, and they do, that's because I'm an old guy, right? So they go, as an old guy, are you worried that AI is going to replace, all of you? And I just laugh, man. Like, my answer is, no, it's not. I'm not here to debate with you if AI is good or bad, because there's plenty of that going around. Believe me, you got to make up your own mind. One thing I have learned at this old age of mine is that rarely, if ever, is technology put back in the box once it's out. That's a fact. Technology has always changed music. We adapted to multi-track recording, synthesizers, drum machines, samplers. I mean, we've been through the gamut, right? Now it's DAWs. What's that rolling MPC where you just tap beats out or something like that, right? All this electronic stuff. Other than the MPC, by the way, all that other stuff I mentioned, hell, I own all of that stuff at some point. So yeah, I can relate, right? But now, even with AI, here's the deal, y'all. The true songwriter still writes. The true singer still sings. The musician still performs. The producer simply helps uncover possibilities. Years ago, I had producers sitting beside me, in the recording studio, or standing behind the window pointing, hey, I hit that, right? Which was kind of funny at the time, right? But today, I have a virtual producer helping me explore ideas, and without me breaking the bank, hiring a lot of musicians that I'd like to have them, but I can't afford them at this age. Not to mention the fact that I have no deal. I'm not even looking for a deal anyway, right? But I can't afford them, And the thing about me is I love strings and horns in my arrangements. I do. I'm a huge string. Maybe it's back from my Motown days, but I love strings and horns. I hear them in my head when I compose. And maybe you hear the same things, but don't have access or funding to hire them either. So are you supposed to just say, forget it? Not this guy. No, I'm not going to do that. The tools help me explore that aspect of music that I absolutely love. The creative process of today has made it realistic for me to do this without a label and without the drama that comes from being in a band. Hey, been there, done that. And if you've been in a band, you know what I'm talking about. And honestly, I think this is one of the most exciting times ever to be an independent musician, because today every musician can have access to a producer, even if that producer happens to be virtual. Hey, if you'd like to see more videos showing my actual workflow from Band in a Box to DAW to SUNO and back again, leave a comment below and tell me how you're using AI in your music. And if you're a senior musician trying to navigate all this new technology and rhetoric, subscribe, because that's exactly what my channel is all about. I'm Henry Clark, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.